welcome to this edition of the news on Canal 2 English. We begin with our major stories for tonight. 2 more days to go, and Cameroonian youth will be celebrating the Golden Jubilee of National Youth Day. In this edition, we would provide you with activities ongoing in schools. It is an occasion for youth to come abreast with future careers like aviation, marketing, and others. Stakeholders in the environment sector have examined environmental issues that impede growth and development while meeting in Yaoundé today. They analyzed necessary information for public use on the state of the environment. And the 10th session of the Orientation and Follow-up Committee of C2D projects in Cameroon held today with Cameroon and French officials assessing progress made so far in the last 10 years. A South African Accord is hearing an opposition case that the president should repay about $23 million of state funds used to renovate his rural residence. Those were our top stories. The details right ahead. Good evening once more. Stakeholders in the environment sector have examined environmental issues that impede growth and development. They came together to analyze necessary information for public use and on the state of the environment. The technical committee meeting was chaired by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment and Nature Protection. Let's watch this report by Beatrice Ngamo.
A report on the state of environment in Cameroon 2016 to 2017 action plan is under elaboration. A document which will offer Cameroonians the rights to recent information on the environment. The Ministry of Environment, Protection of Nature and Sustainable Development is in charge of that mission.
At the level of the Ministry of Environment, since 2004, we engaged in a process to start seeing how to collect, how to centralize, and how to make such information available to the population.
The objective of this first session of the Technical Working Group in the Bolova South region of Cameroon, this in a bid to centralize all information which will be used to produce the said document.
That's the one key document that can inform the Cameroonian populace and the international community on the state of the environment in Cameroon.
The environment expands across border, so a synchronized report from Cameroon and other neighboring countries necessary for a concerted action by the international community.
It's good that Cameroon should also be in a position to feed such information to the international community so that the actions that are being taken to combat environmental issues are global.
The Bolova meeting that groups actors from different sectors that touches on the state of an environment is to see how together they can collect, feed, analyze all the necessary information to come out with a state of the environment report here in Cameroon.
Follow-up and orientation committee of C2D projects held today in Yaoundé, Cameroon, with Cameroon and French officials assessing the progress made so far in the last 10 years. Beatrice Ngamo sat through that meeting. Her reports.
It is almost 10 years since Cameroon signed the French Debt Relief and Development Contract, known in its French acronym C2D, with 3 sector ministries, basic education, public health, and agriculture and rural development involved. The officials of Orientation and Follow-up Committee met in their 10th session this February 9 in Yaoundé, first to assess progress made this far, explained here by the different ministers and representatives.
We benefited from around above 500 billion CFA as a contribution to debt relief to finance our developmental projects in different sector activities.
French Ambassador to Cameroon, Christine Robichon, saluted progress made in the reduction of infant and maternal mortality, especially in the 3 northern regions of Cameroon, because of the health sectoral project.
It enabled pregnant women to pay just a part of the cost of health care during their pregnancy, delivery in and health center, and also the first healthcare provided to the child after the newborn.
Cameroon is well set for the third generation C2D project.
We want to be focused, we want to be very coordinated, we want to improve on our synergy, and we want to also improve on the coherence of all the projects. This will lead to very clear and very pertinent results on the field and the beneficiaries.
The courses for the third generation of the French Debt Relief and Development Contract, the C2D, will begin soon here in Cameroon.
Manja Bridge in Gambia, Senegal Maritime Division, is in a deplorable state. Business in that locality is on a standstill. Inhabitants have called on government to come to their assistance by constructing a new bridge. Crystal Catala completes her story.
Just these few wood serve as bridge on the Man River in the Manja 1 village, Gambia subdivision, Senegal Maritime Division. Due to this, inhabitants are cut off from the other villages and Gambia as a whole. The situation has penalized them from commercializing their farm products to go to school and to go to the hospital. The situation was caused by erosion. The river was overflooded and water carried everything away. Even the irons were carried away. We are pleading that the government should help us. We are like handicaps here. We cannot circulate well. When we have corpses, we are obliged to carry them on our shoulders from one village to the other. It is not easy to cross. Just think of little children who have to go to school. Constructed during the colonial period, this bridge had never been rehabilitated. Inhabitants, who are close to 300 in number, believe that authorities will come to their aid.
Activities to mark the Youth Day celebrations in Cameroon have reached fever pitch. Students of Government Bilingual High School, Tugebe, that is in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, have been drilled on the technical and scientific domain, which will transform their theoretical know-how into something more practical. Carol Kemaju completes her story.
Diagrams, equations, current. Here we are in a technical and scientific sphere, an environment not very common for students of the Government Bilingual High School, Etukebe, Yaoundé. This seminar falls in the register of Youth Day activities. Thus, they are given the opportunity to learn from experts, whose mission is to encourage them get involved in practical studies, which will prepare them for the job market. The expression on their faces stirs it all. These students are interested in science and technology, as it takes them directly to the practical part of what they are taught in school.
L'idée de base derrière cette activité, c'est de dire aux enfants de terminale, ce n'est que la terminale.
The idea behind this activity is to tell all upper sixth students to stop theory and get closer to practice. We taught them how to conceive an electric network. We equally told them what to do in order to accomplish their dreams of being doctors, engineers and polytechnicians.
C'est-à-dire être médecin ou être ingénieur ou être polytechnicien.
All students of upper sixth gathered around this expert to kindly follow demonstrations which will add something new to their academic prowess. The working session was a great moment for youths who benefited from the technical assistance of this scientific association. Students of Government Bilingual High School Etukebe went home not only in happiness but with attestations of participation.
Marking the 50th anniversary of Cameroon Youth Day, students in Douala have been drilled on challenges and opportunities in the aviation industry, a sector still unknown to youth, but they have been encouraged to venture in the aviation industry. It should be noted Cameroon can boast of only one pilot. Let's watch this report. The aviation industry impacts the global economy by at least 2.5 trillion, registering 58.1 million jobs supported by aviation worldwide. Despite the opportunities, the sector is still unknown to many persons, especially Cameroonian youths.
We do have limited access to information regarding aviation-related job, etc. Aviation are not limited to Cameroon. The success of aviation in our country relies heavily on our collaboration with all surrounding countries. You need to understand that all eyes now are focusing in Africa.
There is a great need in years to come, and we need to get more and more skilled people. So to meet up with this shortage of skilled workers in the future years to come, we believe that there is a great need to start from the niche to sensibilize youths in schools, tell them about what we have, because aviation covers all sectors, all other industries are in the aviation industry, from finance, HR, administration, before getting into the technical careers, which are maintenance, engineering, piloting, firefighter.
The Young African Aviation Professional Association is conscious of this problem. They have gathered youths to explain what the aviation industry is all about, daily challenges and opportunities.
The potential in Africa is huge. You could have seen the presentation made earlier by IATA representative, whereby the intertrade, the collaboration between African countries, are just about 14 to 13%, which is very, very, very low. 60% of the travel intercontinental are made by Occidental, Western airlines. In 2016, we are way behind the curve on this matter. Therefore, again, we need to foster the collaboration between African countries because we are dealing with the same challenges.
A majority of youth express a willingness to embrace the sector, but raise fears they might be blocked along the line. Aeronautic engineers and air traffic controllers present at the workshop was a booster for these children, many of whom dream to pick up a career in the aviation industry. The first edition of the African Youth Aviation Forum, YAFA, coincided with activities to mark the 50th anniversary of the National Youth Day celebration in Cameroon. Youth entertainment caravan in the nation's political capital Yaoundé has taken youth to some historic and monuments. The caravan is aimed at inculcating in youth a spirit of patriotism around civic education, national integration, and volunteerism. Beatrice Ngamo.
Youth Carnival and innovatory activity parade to mark the 50th anniversary of National Youth Day this year in Cameroon. An event that gathered some over 100 youths from Yaoundé and environs. Parade, in the form of sports world, aimed at reviving the spirit of the youths around three main principles, that of civic education, national integration and voluntary service, involving the youths in the paths of their elders. To celebrate this historic event, that is the 50th anniversary, the youth caravan carried the youths to certain historic sites of the nation's capital, such as the place of August 28, 1940, the Reunification Avenue, and the 20th May Avenue. They also went to historical monuments like the Monument for Unknown Soldiers, the 50th Anniversary Monument for the Army, the Reunification Monument, the OAU Monument, the Independence Monument, Our Lady of Victory Cathedral, amongst many. Occasion for the youth to integrate certain values, symbols of the Republic, notably the emblem or the unifying myth. The youths took advantage of the amusement period to reiterate their support to the head of state and the defense forces in the fight against Boko Haram, resolutely moving towards Cameroon's emergence. It is these youths who will be there to continue their relay.
Head of State Paul Biya will tomorrow be addressing the youth of Cameroon. Just what the head of state will tell the youth and what are the youth expecting this time around from Mr. Biya. Cajun Harry at says nothing of the scope of employment will interest the youth this time around. Let's watch his report.
Cameroon's President Paul Biya will address his young compatriots on February 10, 2016. This will be in consonance with his routine call for his young compatriots to believe in the government that is preparing an enabling environment for their emergence. Yes, President Biya will address the youths, and one thing which is certain is the issue of employment that he must address. The youths may not have much worry except that, and anything out of the scope of job provision is no news to the youths. In 2014, President Biya announced the creation of 350,000 jobs to close the unemployment gap. He buttressed his arguments on the ongoing projects across the country like Lompanga, Memveli, and to a lesser extent the Nachtigal. However, socio-economic critics hold that construction is not the only sector to provide jobs, and even if there are projects with specific durations. But other sectors like agriculture are open for the youths to venture. Again, the issue of land and funding impedes the youth. So just what President Biya will be telling them this time around.
The National Order of Physicians were before the press in Yaoundé to disclose conclusions of a case of Dr. Helen Gorkana, who died after a medical act suspected inefficient and doubtful. The report incriminated the negligent attitude of the clinic in which she was admitted on January 4. Jean Dombo reports.
To the other, a medical doctor finally dies January 10, 2016. Review summary of most headlines after the story of Dr. Helen Gorkana, 30 years, spread the audio, the visual and the papers. The Ministry of Health and the National Order of Physicians urge an investigation.
The conclusion was that she had what they call septicemia. Septicemia is the presence of bacteria in the blood plus the toxins produced by this bacteria. That is finally what killed her. Where did the infectious process come from? Our only hypothesis is that she must have had an abortion.
It all started January 4, 2016, when Helen Gorkana, 9 weeks pregnant, was admitted in a clinic for pains and vomiting. 5 days intensive care under an antibiotic doubtful prescription.
What was she being treated for with an antibiotic? The doctor said it was urinary tract infection. As far as we are concerned, urinary tract infection complicates just about 1.5 to 2% of pregnancies, and it occurs during the late second trimester and in early third trimester.
Spontaneous abortion followed by transfer to 2 reference hospitals in the night of January 9th. Finally, at 4 a.m. January 10th, she dies.
The clinic where she went did not give us any medical document to show what they did on her. Secondly, the referral letter the doctor sent to Hospital General said that the girl came admitted for an abortion. But when we met the doctor, he told us that she was admitted for vomiting.
Negligence and venal attitudes, proactiveness and inefficiency, the dilemma continues.
Now, the new parish priest of St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Owasa Memvele in Nangaiboko has promised to fight against witchcraft in that locality. He made a promise shortly after he was commissioned into his functions. Gladys Ambo Tibang.
This is St. John the Baptist Parish in Wasa Bamvele, located some 30 kilometers away from the town of Nangaiboko. And this man is the new shepherd, Reverend Father Aleng Brice Nzana, who has been installed by the Zona Pastoral Official, Reverend Father Landry Nzie, who has called on the population to listen to their new man of God. We have called on the faithful to be docile in listening to their pastor in order to earn fruit. He is here to give out the message of life. Just like Jesus, he is out to preach the good news that will save lives. The new parish priest, Reverend Father Aleng Brice Nzana, is expected to carry out several projects in that community, amongst them the fight against witchcraft. The only strategy to fight against witchcraft is the Word of God. We must allow it to penetrate, transform and nourish our minds, so that our Lord Jesus will do the rest and defend us against evil forces. The Word of God is there to fight against all these vices. The Catholic faithfuls expressed their joy that the Lord will use the new parish priest, Alain Brinzana, to accomplish his mission.
We now talk sports. Cameroon is in dire need of a coach to take over from Alexandre Bellinga as manager of the national football team. The president of the National Football Federation said though the search is on, Alexandre Bellinga is still the man in charge. Tabby Clarkson.
Alexandre Bellinga, fondly called the Jose Mourinho of Cameroon, will continue to sit on the bench of the Indomitable Lions as the acting coach. The news was disclosed during a press conference that Tombi Aroko granted Monday in Yaoundé. The president of FECAFO told the press that the search for a new coach is still very much alive, but that until that manager is found, Alexandre Bellinga is still the coach of the Indomitable Lions. Alexandre Bellinga was made coach in November last year after the dismissal of German-born Volker Finkel. Alexandre Bellinga is expected to come up with a list of players to defend the national colors in 2 separate friendlies, notably that against South Africa in March and France in the month of May. As the search for a new coach is on, Alexandre Bellinga has promised to continuously working with pride, honor, patriotism.
Out of Cameroon will take you to South Africa, where court is hearing an opposition case that the president should repay about $23 million of state funds used to renovate his rural home. Let's watch this report.
Zuma challenge in top court. According to an independent 2014 report, Jacob Zuma has benefited unduly from the upgrades to his rural residence. Although he has offered to pay some of the money back, the case is still going ahead. A demonstration march has been led by former Zuma ally turned fierce opponent Julius Malema in Johannesburg. A spokesperson for Malema's Economic Freedom Fighters EFF party said the demonstration was against corruption and cronyism. Zuma's ANC party calls the march to the court a political exercise. Mr. Zuma has been cleared of wrongdoing in a police report over the Nkandla residence. The government said the upgrades were made to boost security. The saga comes at a difficult time for Mr. Zuma, who has been under fire over the sacking of respected finance minister late last year.
That report by Hughes Kamga brings us to this edition of the news on Canal to English. I'm glad to know that you were watching. News continue on Canal to English. Good night.